Amazing. JB, thank you for joining me today. Welcome to the End Goal Podcast.
Dude, super excited. Super excited. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. For people listening, JB, Jonathan Bange, he is a Ninja Warrior competitor. He's a coach. He is a trainer. He actually trained me for 3 months, hoping to compete. And after those 3 months, I was like, this just isn't for me. I didn't even make it to my first competition. I just felt in my core all the way back in Paris, Texas. I was like, this just isn't for me. So that's when I ended up just, you know, saying it's fine. I'll go support the guys and I'll watch and I'll be a spectator. But the sport of ninja isn't for me.
To the viewers, you guys have to see his video. I have him. I have proof. Okay. No, the guy looked fantastic on the course. So we'll just let the big spectators be the judge of whether or not.
Yeah, yeah. I just I feel like probably would have been different if I was training on the actual obstacles that I would see, as opposed to just like trying to make something work in the gym that I had, type of like trying to just like make things work. I feel like I never got a real sense of the overcoming any fears, overcoming any doubts, overcoming anything to like get through it. Because till this day, you're not getting me to lâcher up. I can lâcher across, lâcher down. You're not getting me to lâcher up. I'm 28 years old. I'm a 28-year-old man. It's like I'm afraid of lâchering upwards. So I'll leave that to the kids and y'all. But you've been doing this for a while now. How long has it been?
As far as ninja,
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing it for since 2017. So, 9 years now.
Wow.
That's incredible, actually.
Yep. Still going strong too.
Yes, sir. Getting stronger.
So I have been wanting to talk to you about this stuff for a while, and before we get to what I have, I want to address the elephant in the room, which is you have a new business. So I would love for you to talk more about that. I saw a couple of the Instagram posts and that stuff, but I kind of wanted to hear from you. How did it come about? Why? Um, how did you think about it, etc.? Like, what was the inception of this? Like, walk me through your process.
All right. How, why conception? Well, what it is, Flex Fitness. Flex Fitness is a small group personal training facility. And so imagine like personal training level of instruction and programming, but you get to do it in a group format where there's accountability, all the jokes, the community. And yeah, it's just a special energy that you can only get when you have a group of people similar spirit working towards similar goals together. It's absolutely electric whenever everyone's in the same room. And so that is what we do. We offer space for personal trainers to rent space as well. And yeah, we coach and we develop. Um, I would say more than personal training, we are into the human transformation business. We look to kind of help people not only from a standpoint of being able to move without pain or help them improve at their performance or whatever they're doing or help them learn period how to move their body but
Mm-hmm.
but we tap into the again mind body and spirit baby, so we
Yes,
tap into
sir.
all facets possible to help individual not just have a short term New Year's excitement piece there. It goes come and goes, but a true transformation where a person lifestyle is totally different, and what
Mm-hmm.
their life consists of, the quality of life is
Mm-hmm.
different. So yeah, that's what we do at Flex Fitness. We host classes at Monday through Saturday, starting at 5 a.m., 6 and 7 a.m. as well. Classes at noon, and then we have evening class at 5:30. And on the weekend, Saturday, we have class from 8:30 9:30, which is a High Rocks inspired class for those
Mm-hmm.
that compete in High Rocks. And then at 9:30, we have a peer mobility class. got you. I got you. I know that's important to you. Um,
We go get to that in a second. We can get to that in a second. I have stuff that I want to share with you on that, but
okay,
please continue.
I'm excited. And then we also have a class called Flex Foundation. And Flex Foundation, that is I would say, educational as well as a instructional guidance class where we teach the basic movements: push, pull, squat, hinge, rotate, and carry, a loaded carry.
Mhm,
And so we break it down to 6 weeks, and each week we focus on those pieces. We talk about you know, the movement, what muscles are responsible for it, what are the most common challenges, what are the causes of those challenges, and therefore we re-engineer backwards how to solve those issues. We teach them in that 50-minute class. So we do an assessment, we teach, we make sure they go through the movements, we do assessment after the class, and we've been 100%. Every single person that comes, it's a total difference in 50 minutes of their range of motion or what they're able to do in those movements of squat, hinging, push, pull, or rowing. But in any case, that is our classes, and I'm super excited. This came about as a total, what I would say is a God thing. It's one of those where you couldn't paint the picture any better. This
mhm,
place, FlexFitness, is located 3 minutes away from me. I drove by it for years, never paid any attention to it. I ninja coach and I personal train out of people's houses at this time, well, before I got to where I'm at now. And so I started my fitness journey teaching group exercise classes, and so
mhm,
I was used to that energy when I first came in, and the impact of how I can impact a lot of people in a little bit of time, and group exercise classes. And so um, when I was coaching ninja and personal training, that was the one aspect of what I love to do and where I felt called to do that I hadn't been doing. And so Flex Fitness was right up the street, and a friend named Kendall Ortez, shout out, buddy. He shot me a message saying this gym was looking for trainers, and I saw that the gym was um, it was awesome. I saw the programming; it was functional training, it was strength training, and the owner was rather have a child, and so I knew that they were going to need help, and so I stepped, and my approach was, "Hey, I'm willing to help. You know, while you guys are transitioning, you know, I just want to be able to teach a couple classes, as well as I want to have a space where I can film some online content." And
mhm,
and that's walking in, looking for that opportunity, turned into now me owning the gym and spearheading a team where we're looking to impact lives around the world and
mhm.
essentially transform the fitness game, which is incredibly humbling. Like, couldn't even fathom being in this position right now, but super excited and humble.
Can you describe for me the feelings of like transition over the years? Because I am always very impressed with entrepreneurs, like either resistances or um, like what's the word for it? Their adaptability to change and or their resistance to pressure and or change and things like that. So you went from training in a location in Frisco, then I thought you were at like True Moment, True Ninja Coaching or something like that, and then now you're here, and that I feel like that's happened in quite a short time, relatively. So how is that? How have you worked through that? I would really love to know like your mentality there of like how did you change when you needed to? Was it like well thought out? Are you someone who follows more of their like emotions, or did you just like you had your gut feeling and you just followed your gut? Like, can you walk me through kind of where your mind was at these times of like transitioning your role to role to role?
Yeah, no, that I mean that's a fantastic question, one that no one has ever asked me. So one, that's a great question too. Um, yep, I'm gonna point back up one time to God again, and then I'm gonna also go to um, Ninja. It was very intentional for me whenever I started pursuing ninja. I wanted to be, and I still work in day after day to be the best version of myself. Every single day, I'm getting up trying to be 1% better. And when I was doing ninja, and even now, I understand I had fears. And one, like I still have a fear of heights, right? I still
Mm-hmm.
go do ninja, but that doesn't mean that I'm not scared of heights, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I had fears, and one fear that I think relates to most people in the world is the fear of failure, right? Um, Trying something, doing something, and falling on your face, and then what from there, right? And this is something that I knew Ninja was going to challenge me in, and so I would say, a lot of the things that I did in Ninja and do in Ninja, I never know what obstacle is going to come in front of me. Any course
Mm-hmm.
that we go to, I never know, right? All I can do is prepare myself as best from what I can control and what I know, and then hope that my skills that I'm really good at shows up on the test, right? Which is obstacle course, i.e., life or these changes, transitions that happen in life. And I'll wrap it up by just shortly, I guess, relating the whole thing together. That my fear of failure, I was a person that said, in the past, if they said more money, more problems, I'm like, well, I don't want the money. In the past, I was like, I don't want the money because I'd rather have a peaceful life. That's what values that lives inside
Mm-hmm.
of me. Those values still reside in me. But at this point in my life, brother, hey, I've been broke my whole life, man. My thing is, if it's not just broke my whole life,
Yep.
problems.
Yep.
I've had problems my whole life, right?
Been broke with problems. So why not have money with problems?
Hold on now. Hold on now. And here was the kicker. Life taught me, and I found out that you're going to still have problems. Whether you
Mm-hmm.
have no money or money, you're
Mm-hmm.
going to have problems. So my,
Mm-hmm.
my mindset now, and it's not necessarily again life, it was the obstacles. It was facing obstacle after obstacle and understanding that on obstacles, if you or even in sports, if you're playing to not get injured or if you're playing not to fail, you are not going to beat the person who is not afraid to fail because they're willing to do things that you're not willing to do. And a lot of times, if you're not willing to fail, you're going to spend so much energy clearing one obstacle that the next obstacle in front of you, you're not even going to have a chance for because you already got spent on the obstacles
Yep.
right here. So I had to learn to be efficient on the early obstacles and know that I had to put myself in the mentality of you have no choice but to do the moves to keep moving because if you don't, you're going to be gassed out towards the end. And it's the same, absolute same thing that I'm experiencing in life is, each challenge, each transition, it's been fast, and I'm like, oh my gosh, but it's been a situation where every single transition I've learned, and I'm confident in my ability to adapt. I learn, and I'm comfortable in my ability to adapt. I learn, and I stay true to my core, which is my purpose, my calling. I absolutely believe that we're powerful beyond measure. I believe that about every single human. And, I definitely find joy in helping people push towards, a better version of themselves or that next, and that's what I enjoy. And I like that energy around me.
Mm-hmm. That's powerful. I while you were talking about the problems part of it, it reminded me, and this has just been a thought that's been on my mind. I thought I'd share it with you. And it's not my idea. I heard it from Dr. K. But the idea of passive and active challenges, where it's kind of where you were getting to, where life is going to keep giving you challenges. Those are passive. Like you can't control those. They're going to keep coming at you. You're going to lose your job. You're going to have bills to pay. You're going to wake up with body pain, all that stuff. Those are passive. Like you can't control all of them all the time. And if you only go through life accepting passive challenges yet making no active challenges of your own, you're gonna live a pretty shitty life. You're gonna be pretty upset. You're gonna be pretty low a lot of the times. You're gonna have a very probably bad outlook on life too, because life just keeps throwing problems at you. Um, but as soon as you elect to add in your own active challenges interspersed with the passive challenges of life, I feel like you become more equipped to handle everything in general, right? To your point, if your active challenge is the 1% better every day and you choose that 1% every day of like, I got to wake up and go for my morning walk, because that is an active challenge that I'm choosing to do. I personally, like, I put my 35-pound weight vest on and I go on a walk, and my route is downhill then uphill. So the first half is really nice, and the back half hurts like a bitch. And so I front load the pleasure and I back load the pain, because right after all the pain is I get home, which means I'm not going to in a sense, I'm not going to front load the pain and do the down and do like the uphill portion first, and then just rest all the way until I get home. Like I'm feeling any sort of weight, pressure, etc. until I get home, and then my pleasure is my home and getting home. So that's been like an active challenge where if I do that and I get home, I'm pretty sure every time I've done that, because I haven't done it every single day consecutively. The days that I've done that, I'm crushing that day, right? Like mentally, I'm looking for whatever challenges I have at work. I'm looking for whatever challenges I have in my personal life, whether it's the challenge today is I need to edit these 10 short form videos, and get them edited, exported, and if my focus is still there, uploaded as well, all in one time. And I'm not going to push off things. But if I don't do that, JB, I've noticed if I don't do that, my resistance or my resilience during the day, subpar, absolutely subpar. Like it's actually to the point where there's days if I don't do some sort of active challenge in the day, any portion of the day before the active challenge, not good. Any portion of the day after the active challenge, amazing. And so I was like, this is interesting.
That is absolutely pretty interesting. Like, for you to case study your own life and be able to
Yeah.
experience that for yourself, that's pretty eye opening. That's pretty
Yeah. I mean, I
helpful.
love case studying my life. I should probably do more with life instead of just keep watching it. So I try to do both. But I personally am a fan of case studying your own life. I started content as a case study of my own life. So I I really would love to, in this new phase of life, myself and friends around me, of like just like choosing to be 1% better didn't really wasn't a good frame for me anymore. It was in the past, and now the frame is like, at least for the foreseeable future, it's which challenges am I actively pursuing, um knowing that life is going to give me its own challenges, right? So I've had to reframe it, because I found out that a lot of things that I used to enjoy doesn't really do it for me anymore. So I got to find new things to enjoy, which gets me to the next question. And this is something I need your expertise on. This is the
I
first thing
think
that I wrote down that I wanted to ask you.
can
Okay?
I touch on your last point?
Yeah.
On
Go ahead.
that piece, you what you summed up really quick for anybody to be able to do in their own way is you were forcing yourself to do something that you necessarily didn't want to do, and then you routined yourself forcing yourself to do something you didn't want to do. So now all your tasks after that in your day becomes that much easier because you've already forced yourself to do something that you
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to do off the top. And so I want to share to kind of wrap that up because for people at home who may not have their thing, like for me, I'll do an ice bath, right? And so I don't like cold, but I'll do an ice bath, right? But it looks unique and different for every single person. And so try to find that thing that you can do where you're at in your situation, to start your day where you're forcing yourself to do something that necessarily you don't want to do, and then see if those similar benefits that you were just speaking to, you know, if they experience any pieces of that. And lastly,
Mm-hmm.
I'll say on that is consistency. That moves mountains. Consistency is what get things done. And even if you don't feel it your first time, I think the challenge is trying to consistently put yourself in a position where you're doing something that you necessarily don't want to do, but you make yourself doing it anyway. You do it with joy,
Mm-hmm.
and once you do that, all the rest becomes like another task, another thing.
Yeah. The consistency thing is like, I hate that word. Only because I myself am an inconsistent individual. I'm inconsistently consistent. I will keep doing the same thing over a year, but in that year, I will stop it for like a month, 2 months, etc. Like I will start and stop the same way. It's frustrating, JV. But the thing I guess I wanted to add to that is, if like, keep the consistency of figuring out your active challenge throughout every single day. And to your point, it may look differently person to person. It also may look differently day to day, right? Like, there's days when I don't put on a weight vest to go walking, but then I'll hit 2 laps instead of one, or I'll I mean, honestly, physical activity is my active challenge right now, and we're about to get to that question that I had. But
Do it.
usually it's physical activity. It's not like mental activity. But for somebody who does a lot of physical activity, maybe their mental activity is an active challenge, right? Like, can you wake up and be present for 30 minutes without scrolling on your phone?
Mm,
Can you find a way to actively bring like 10 minutes of boredom into your day, because it's hard for you to like sit still and be bored? And because that's a big problem with our generation now, and the current society is they don't like to be bored, because you always have something keeping you occupied, whether it's on your phone, or you find things to do, or you're trying to be productive all the time, quote unquote, and you just don't let yourself just be. Maybe that's an active challenge, right? And that might look different day to day. And I think consistently looking for active challenges daily is, over time, going to condition you to some point where that active challenge may not feel like a challenge anymore, and then you have to ramp it up, which I know people don't like to do. We don't like resistance, we don't like change. I love, at whatever point, if this 35-pound weight vest feels light, I don't know what I'm going to do. I might put the weight vest on, I might strap some ankle weights, I don't know. But at whatever point the active challenge feels not like a challenge, you have to take the step to freak it, right? You actually take the step to like change it,
yes.
make it harder again.
Switch up the
Um,
stick.
yes, sir. Okay, so here's what I want to ask you, and I am personally just a vessel for everybody who feels like this. So for someone like me who has worked out often, but for the past few months and at this point in time, over almost a year now, um, I I haven't been enjoying working out, moving. Really, I become very immobile, complacent, very just like sedentary, because my other hobbies and passions do involve me sitting, reading, editing, all that stuff. What could you advise to somebody who's become more sedentary progressively, in order to break out of that feeling and enjoy movement again, to where there's a level of, not just I have to go move, work out, train, etc., but there's a level, there's a initial I want to.
Yeah, no, I think that it'd be a multifaceted approach in regard to help that individual. Um, I think a lot of times working out is super convenient, fun, easy. One, when you have a community, people to go and like do the hard thing with, and like
Mm-hmm.
when you're dying, you look over and they're pushing harder than you, and you're motivated by that to continue pushing. And so, one facet of that is, I would say for sure, community. We're not meant to be here and do things alone, and especially hard things, right? Hard things, definitely is a lot easier when you have more people. So, I think that's one important piece is finding a community or a space or a group of people that have a similar aspirational drive as you, or maybe even same hobby, right? Maybe they're editors as well, and you guys like all see the value in getting together, and so that's one piece to it. Two, I think one is like a lot of times having a clear vision and assessment, right? And it's very easy if you're focused on your career or you're focused on family, other people, that your vision for yourself becomes distorted, put underneath a pile of this and pile of that. And I think coming back to a clear vision of yourself, right? Hey, myself today, where do I want to be tomorrow, next year, 2 years from now, 3 years from now? what does that look like for me, and what do I want it to look like, right? And once you start getting a clear vision of who you want to be, how you want to look, how you want to go about it, then that becomes the a little bit more of a reminding factor in regard to day in day out what you're doing and the why behind it, because motivation is only going to take you so far. Discipline is going to have to carry you, right? And it has to be something that becomes a part of your DNA. But that doesn't help you want to go, right? Only thing that's
Mm-hmm.
going to make you want to go is falling in love with you know the benefits that it gives you, and that becomes the reward, the reason why to keep going, because you keep getting the benefits, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I would say, again, community to like go back to your clear vision and create what is that vision? What is that why, right? Behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we start diving into that why and what that is behind, then we start finding out, well, what are activities can you enjoy? And what are the things that that can allow you to still do everything that you want to do as far as your priority, but it allows you a little time for you to be able to go out there and just move your body freely and fun, just express, release, and you know, I'm not necessarily as creative as you are by any means, but most creators get inspiration from moving and and working out and freeing the endorphins and the and just the vibrations, getting the mind clear, and so it may serve as somewhat of a motivation there if you can find an angle by any means. But um, lastly, last two is the last one I'll say is not the funnest, but the one I think for a person like yourself, I think mobility is once you find a solid mobility program that you do and you feel better and you like the way you feel, it becomes a thing where you were like, okay, I'm doing that no matter what. Whether I go to the gym and lift, where I go do whatever it is, but it makes you feel good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that would be the thing that I would encourage. First and foremost is to see if we can find you a solid mobility program that takes about 25 minutes for you to do. So there's not necessarily an inconvenient piece there. It's something you can commit to into your schedule, and then from there, as you build that consistency and as you do it consistently, you'll feel better and better and better, and then you feel like you can do more things, and then from there, it kind of takes hold of itself. But um,
Mm-hmm.
the last piece is the real piece, right? Like the real, like hitting right there is, I know my family background, I know my family genetics in history with um, different illnesses, whether that's hypertension or blood or cholesterol or diabetes or genetic pieces, right?
Mm-hmm.
Autoimmune, different pieces, right? That we all battle through in life, right? It's one of those where you can be proactive, or you know that it's coming, right? It's going to happen, right, at some point. And so the other part is that the last part is the not so fun part of, like, at some point you got to say, no, this ain't a choice. If I want to have a kid, if I want to have a future, if I want my family to be around the people I care about, or if I want to continue doing what I want to do at a high level, this is not even a thought, a question, or a choice anymore. It becomes,
Mm-hmm.
are you either you want to be there to move with your grandkid, or be there to walk the stage with your son or daughter, or not, right? And you have to be in a roller or on canes, or get a hip and knee replacement, or whatever the situation may be, right? And so so the last part, obviously, is just the real part that just hits at home. But I do want to speak to it, that people need to be real with themselves and say, hey, look, if you don't learn how to move properly now, you may be okay right now, right? But later on, you're if you don't pay for it now, if you don't make the investment now, you're gonna pay for it sometime, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
invest in yourself, learn how to move properly, and I'm not saying become a American Ninja Warrior or high rocks athlete or anything like that. What I'm saying is just you learn about everything else. You learn, many things, and the number one thing that matters is your body. You can't replace it. Take the time to learn how to move it properly, how to heal yourself whenever things are not feeling well, and that's what I would encourage people.
Yeah. No, I hear that. I hear that. You know what I feel like a lot of people in a very sedentary position do, and this may or may not be my own just like view of it, is I feel like a lot of people will wait until they hit that rock bottom moment of like, now I have pain, now I'm hurt, or now I feel really, really bad. And then not wanting to feel bad is the motivation to like work out or get active or whatever it is. And they start to feel good. And then they stop whatever they were doing to feel good and they feel bad again. And now they feel bad. They don't want to feel bad. So then they work out again to feel good. And I feel like there's just like very vicious cycle and that can happen of like you only do it when you feel bad or when you hit that rock bottom moment for yourself. And then once you feel good, there's nothing else. There may not be anything else there of like, okay, now that I feel good, what am I what else do I do? Right? Like this type of activity got me to feeling good. What will get me to like keep feeling good, keep feeling great? It might be a pivot to a different activity. To your point, it might be group stuff. I constantly think about the fact that every time I move somewhere, besides college, after college, every time I've moved somewhere, I've just been in a situation where like I don't have a workout partner. And I found myself recently like craving like just a workout buddy just because like I'm just so tired of being accountable for myself. I'm so tired, JB, and I'm sure a lot of people out there can understand like at some point you just get so tired of doing it all yourself and having to force yourself to do it. Sometimes you just want to wake up and go work out for like for your buddy who's there already. Like I might not feel it, but I want to go do this for him. And that alleviates so much pressure that day of like it doesn't even matter what I want. Fuck what I want, really, JB.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to do it for you who I'm going to go work out with, things like that, right? A lot of people do that with like they'll say, okay, I'm going to pay for this, so because I pay to have to go do it type of thing. It doesn't work for me. Like I found myself like craving like a workout community group, even like a one person to like just go and like, can we just go and get a good workout today? Because that's why I loved climbing when I did in
Dude,
2023 and 2022 when I moved back. Is I reconnected with an old high school friend of mine, and I was in Dallas, he was in Frisco, on the border of Plano, and we met at the climbing gym in Plano, like the big one there that I forget the name of right now. Um,
movements
no, it was the other one. It was the one that was came. Which one?
summit.
Summit. Yes, it was Summit. And so every Saturday morning, we were there at Summit for a specific amount of time. And there were times when I would wake up early, and I'm like, okay, cool. Before our 10 a.m. rock climbing, I'll go to this coffee shop in front of Summit, and I'll go do some like editing or some graphic design or whatever it is that work I want to do in the morning, and then I'll go do that. And I think back to that probably monthly. And this was all before I hurt my wrist through climbing and everything. But like, it was probably the first activity after in a long time that I was like, I'm doing this with somebody and it feels great. Um, I think that's a big thing now for people where because we're still so isolated, or people like to do things alone. They think they like to do things alone. I think the community thing would probably be the biggest game changer now. Is like, dude, do you do you okay? Hear me out. Hear me out. This might be a whack idea. Hear me out. Do you think there's a market for people um signing up to like reserve workout buddy slots? Because you know how people like they they'll like go like hire somebody to go walk with them,
Right.
or hire somebody to just go sit with them on a bench outside and just like have a small talk thing. I feel like if there already isn't, there probably are people out there who are like, I'll be your workout buddy. I'm proficient in weightlifting. I'm proficient at up to this weight level. I am proficient in like warming up and stretching if that's something that you also like do part of your routine. And we'll just meet up at the gym and we'll work out for an hour. I have membership in this gym, and and there you go.
Gymbros.com.
Oh shit. There
No,
you go.
no, no. I just totally made that up.
Oh, oh, okay, okay, okay. I thought that existed. Okay,
No,
nobody take that.
no, you,
Whenever this goes
yeah,
live, nobody
yeah,
take that.
yeah,
That is in
yeah.
our bank right now.
Okay.
Um, but I feel like that would be probably. what I need specifically, but I think a lot of other people could also need that. To your point, is like the community aspect of it. Because even like the, as a, I don't know how you feel about this, and I'll get your take on it. As doomer that a lot of people in my generation lower feel in terms of like, I mean, we're gonna die anyway type of idea. They don't think about the current investment for the future benefit anymore as much. It's still like a big advice point that a lot of people always say of like do it now so you don't get hurt later. But a lot of people are like, I don't care, right? I just want to have pleasure now, right? So how would you go like a level deeper to talk to for people who are like, okay, well, what if I don't care about I won't that the fact that I'm not going to be able to move in like 20 years when I'm 50 years old, still have the same job that I've had, and now my back aches every time I like turn in bed. Um,
Well, I
what
mean,
would you say to those people now?
that you meet people where they are at, exactly where they're at. And so, I'm not trying to walk people to water that they're not necessarily trying to drink. I will still say, hey, if you ask me my opinion, that's the way you should go, right? But
Mm-hmm.
um but but the other aspect of how you get to that level is the social aspect. That's why the CrossFits, the High Rocks, the Zumbas, the I guess the competitions where people are coming together and it's a everybody doing a thing. Right now, OCR, Savage Races. That's
Mm-hmm.
why those things have any existence at all. It's not necessarily the quality of the workout; it's the social aspect of it. And so, those people that you were just speaking to, don't really care about the investment in their body, but they do care what people think about them, right? And as long as people still care what other people think about them, then now be the aspect to where you could potentially pull people who necessarily don't care about doing what they should do, but if you make it to where it's cool to do it, or not even cool, but you make it to where the people that they want to hang around, the people that they want to be around, they're doing it, and then people are a little bit more likely to be susceptible to it, if that makes sense. Not an easy task, no easy
Mm-hmm.
feat, no easy feat by any means. And like you said, mostly will wait till after. That's why the medical field is the medical field, right? And physical therapists and other people benefit, right, from not proactive but reactive treatment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's going anywhere anytime soon. I think there's definitely going to be a ton of people, but you know, my knowledge I've heard is for you to spend your energy and time and people who necessarily are looking for those type of things. And so for me, I don't speak ill or have patience and time and faith in people that they'll come around for sure. And to be
Mm-hmm.
frank, at some point they have no choice but to come around, right?
Right.
But I will focus my effort and time into people who necessarily see value and they want to do better.
Mm-hmm.
Because even if I can impact one life, and what I'm doing, then I would definitely feel that it's life worth living.
Yeah.
Yep.
How Actually, I want to pivot to a similar topic. What what do you constitute as being in shape?
Personally,
What does that mean to you? And so if you were to say I'm a client coming into your gym, Flex Fitness, shout out, and
hey,
uh, I'm coming to ask you, hey, I want to get in shape. What would you tell me?
well, I would ask further questions because ultimately, what's in shape to you may be totally different from what's in shape to me. And
Mm-hmm.
so, in that situation, I would definitely figure out what are they looking towards, and then from there, see if I can weave in some of those pieces that are super important to me. But immediate responses to that is posture. Let me see what your natural posture looks like. Um, Mobility. I want to see what you're able to move. Like, what is your quality of movement, and what you're able to do.
Mm-hmm.
Stability. Are you stable in your joints, right? Whether it's your hip, your shoulder, any joints, are you stable? And then from there, your ability to control your movement, and any assessment or exercise, can you control that movement in perfect posture? And
Mhm.
those things will be indicators for me of whether they are in shape from a movement standpoint. Now, if we're talking about conditioning, that's a total different thing. But from a movement and strengthening standpoint, those would be the number one things that I would be looking at.
When you said posture, I got like PTSD, trauma, and whiplash back to when we worked together. And I'm gonna tell you guys this, but you will never see it. You will never see a picture come to the light of day. So when I was training with this guy, right, and we first started the whole posture thing because it was virtual, I just sent him like a picture of like my physique, so we could look at any sort of posture imbalances, any sort of joint imbalances, and things like that, to see what we needed to work on. And I'd never really looked at my body like that up until then, and this was in 2022 or 2021,
Right,
actually, I think
2021.
2021. And so I would have been like 23 or so at the time, maybe 24, something like that. And so I had, to my eyes, one of the grossest hip imbalances ever, because one hip was like hinged higher than the other just because of the way that I would sit all the time at my desk, because I'm always leaning on one elbow or the other, and or just the way that I'm like, mostly it's just the way I'm sitting, and how my posture was. I did have rounded forward shoulders. Um I had kind of not a hunch, but just my whole upper back was like rounded forward, a weaker upper back also. um but just those two things, till this day, anytime I'm sitting at my desk and I'm working, I'm always cognizant of like, I'm leaning too far on this, I'm leaning too far on this, I'm doing this too much. And my I just thought back to how gross that looked. And that was my 13th reason. Like, I was like, I cannot leave this earth until I fix this. I don't know if I fixed it, because I also once again refuse to look at myself in that light anymore, or I haven't in a long time, just because I've been a bit afraid to, knowing that I have a lot of work to do. But the work that we were doing, I was like, oh, I look gross. And you know what? You know what's so funny, JB? You know what's so funny? Right now, I have gained a sort of like healthier fat on my body to like fill out what my frame was. Because back then I was still lanky and leaner and
Yeah.
stuff. But I was scrolling through my phone a couple of like weeks ago, just looking through like old pictures, and I was trying to find something, and I came across like my like a picture that I've taken of myself, like upper body shirtless. And in the I remember like throughout all that time I was like, not good enough, not good enough, not good enough. And I look back at it now and I was like, bro, you look good.
Indeed.
I was like, wait a minute. And so I'm like, that I want I had this like stark realization. I was like, I want to go back to that guy, but I'm just a completely different guy now. That like the same mental frames that guy was using to work out every single day and learn calisthenics and learn all these techniques and get his handstand, get his front lever, get his dragon flag, doing so many core workouts day in and day out, all that stuff. Like, I'm just a different person now. And so like the work has been finding the new frame so I can get back to looking like that guy, right? Like, I used to be motivated extrinsically, like with other people's physiques. And right now, my only motivation is to get back to who I was. Like,
That's
I
awesome.
want to look like that guy. Um, but yeah, no. When you said posture, I was like, oh, that was so. I hated that, like the fact that it was there, right? And me as a person, and I've been using therapy to work on this. I do get a lot of motivation through negative emotions as opposed to positive ones. So at that time, it was like, I don't like a lot of these things, therefore I will fix them, as opposed to, I want to be better, therefore I will fix them.
Right.
There's a little
Right.
bit of frame difference
Yeah.
there. But no, I like that. I like the explanation you gave on being in shape, and at least like looking at all those different points. And I think all those different points apply to everybody. They apply to everybody. Um, what
You
I
said
guess
couple
leading.
things.
Go
You
ahead.
said you said one. I said when you said that, I was like human transformation business. When the posture thing brought the PTSD
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
back, and then you also spoke to my why earlier in regard to with Flex Fitness, the community aspect. That's the part where you can have AI, you can come up with whatever workout you want. There is
Mm-hmm.
nothing that you're going to do to replace the experience that you have in that room with everyone that we're doing. And then last piece I want to make is that that's the other piece with Flex Fitness that I think is pretty, I would say, unique and important, at least in the area. There's not many group exercise classes that use barbells and strength training. They mostly it's high intensity interval pieces
Mm-hmm.
there. And we use barbell strength training, and in those barbell strength training, in one class we may do 4 movements, but
Mm-hmm.
you get to really master those movements, and again, by the time you walk out, you're absolutely toast, and that's a total of 50 minutes. And so,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm frameworking is, the transformation from having the energy and will to drive yourself to work so many times in so many hours. There's ways to do it more efficiently, as far as time as those things change, and that's one thing that again I think stands out pretty loudly and proudly about Flex Fitness.
What, in your experience, have been like the largest challenges for your clients? Like, what are they really coming in for?
Well, I think most of the I would say the most common and the most important challenge is learning how to move. There's so many people to this day who can't squat properly without having knee pain,
Mm-hmm.
back pain, ankle pain. There's so many people who I've had more than one situation where a teen, a kid who was in high school playing football, really strong, couldn't do bench press because he hurt his shoulder. Went to doctors, PTs. Nobody could, fix the situation. We fixed the situation, and we fixed it by just learning how to connect, like how to connect with movement,
Mm-hmm.
from a neuro standpoint. And I think that's the number one thing that people get, and that's what I think the number one reason why people come back to class is that they know they're going to get their form corrected and their movement is going to be proper. In that, when they come to the class, they're going to get that type of guidance and instruction. And so,
Mm-hmm.
so that's the number one thing, man. People just don't know how to move really, sincerely. I mean, not to a wheel like they want to, but they've done something for so long and disconnected with doing it, what they're doing with their body, and so because they just done it mindlessly, they think what they're doing is the movement is correct, and so you have to learn how muscles should feel in certain poses, and then learn how to move through those poses, and that's how you connect people, with movement and how to properly do different movements. Which again, once you teach a person how to move without pain, now the sky's
Mm-hmm.
the limit, right? Because now I don't associate bad or I can't do this or hurt with this thing. Now I can keep getting better and stronger and stronger. Now it becomes something that not only can they do that, they that's an easy tangible difference, but the next difference is what is possible next. What I can do next is freer versus what they experience a lot of time with the pain they had.
Yeah.
And,
I had a lot of shoulder pain this past like September, October, August time. I initially got the shoulder pain because I was a bit egotistical at the gym, and I hit incline. No, I hit dumbbell press, incline dumbbell press, and then I tried to go and do a straight bar dip on top of a machine. My shoulders were not ready for the straight bar dip at that time, or at least the volume of what I did, they were not ready for it. So I tweaked my shoulder a little bit, but then it persisted. I was like, "What's happening?" And I realized, and I don't know what I don't know what specifically work you did on that gentleman whose shoulder you helped, but for me it was like because I tweaked my shoulder initially and then I stopped working out.
mm,
I left the gym because the gym itself was closing, so I just left the gym in general. I actually haven't been to a gym since like August. Um, my shoulder was really hurting, and that was also coupled with a lot of working and a lot of everybody's gonna hate me for this. A lot of like working like this on like a computer and stuff,
mm.
super slouch mode, and even like working off the bed or off the couch, etc. Right, and so I was like, why is it hurting? Why is it hurting? Why is it hurting? And nothing was like, rest wasn't working. And I realized, I was like, Arish, you idiot. You need to like tighten those muscles up again. Like they've become lax. They may have like weakened over time. Like from when we were doing a lot of work together, there's one exercise. You know what? I'm not gonna like let this be just the one marketing thing that I do for you in terms of like there's one exercise that you gave me in our 3 months that I till this day love. It's my favorite one, and it's you're in an elbow plank, and then you're leaning left to right, and so you're like lowering yourself and bringing yourself back up through like the strength of basically your shoulders and your upper chain. And I try to do that again because I got pretty low when we were working together. And I did that again. I was like, I can barely go as low, but I started doing that kind of stuff again. Shoulder pain's gone.
Get out.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Like I take a lot of like movements from back then because to your point, they actually did help with movement, right? It wasn't just like a gimmick. Let's be honest here. I do believe there are gimmick movements out there in the world that people advertise, but these weren't, only because I did them for 3 months straight. And I know that when I have issues, I go back to them, right? The 90-90 with the back lean to stretch my oblique. Like the there was one more. There's one that I hated. I hate that you kept making me do this. There's one that I hated, and it was a jumping lunge. Because fuck that exercise. I hate that shit. That gassed me immediately. And it works.
Word.
But I will say, like, you know, a lot of pain can be fixed through movement. It's not with the lack of movement. You're not like resting is not going to fix it. You actually have to use it. Um, and so that's what fixed my shoulder was going back in. I have club bells, I have the resistance bands, and I did a lot of
Wow.
like shoulder work, just like re-strengthen. It was only my right one, but like re-strengthen that area because I'm also hypermobile, and
Yep.
I always forget that you know my joints ache if they're not secure because they're too mobile. So I have to work out to re-secure them, maybe, and I have to like strengthen the muscle around them, and I always forget that. Um, and I do know that looking forward, if I don't do more of that now, I'm going to be in big trouble as I get older and like I start to like deteriorate. Essentially, I depreciate as a human,
Right.
and so, um, but no, I did want to shout that out only because it took me like over a month to like fix my shoulder again, and it was remembering like a few of these principles that were specific to me. Like I don't necessarily know anybody else who is hypermobile in their joints that has to do this, but the principles are still the same.
Wow.
That's why I do
I
I do complain to my wife. I'm like, can you just like I know you're complaining about like foot pain and knee pain and all that stuff. Can you just like work out and just see if it fixes it? And she's like, no. I'm like, you know what? That's fine. You do you. But I'm just gonna put it out there that it might help. It might help. Um,
Hey,
but
all we can do
that's
is
that's
lead by
that's a big
example,
one.
baby. All we can do is lead by example.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Man, but you
Um,
gave me some tears right now, man. Dude, that's like if anybody, any trainer, any coach in the world, if they're able to teach you something and freaking, 4 years later, you're able to pull it out and be able to use it to help yourself in that day, that is ultimate success for them. And no matter what industry or field they're in. So thank you for
mm,
sharing that, dude. You just gave me chill bumps over here. That was really cool.
no, of course, dude. And I there's that concept of sunk cost with a lot of people of like, I spent 3 months training for this thing and I never did it. Did I just waste my money and my time? And I think when it comes to things like physical activity, where you're actually being trained, like that knowledge and experience is never a waste, right? Because just because I'm not using it to go compete, I can still pull back certain pieces to like think about like, okay, well, I've been working out, lifting weights for like X amount of months. I need something to change up. Let me go back to some of the exercises that I did with Coach JB like 4 years ago. Oh, I feel better a little bit. I feel like this is fresh again, etc. And then I can go back into my other routine, etc. Right? Like it's always there. Um, and I like to emphasize that. Like I really don't think physical activity is a waste. and or like physical training. That's actually that's a narrow down. I don't think physical training is ever a waste. You know, you may not gel with the trainer here and there. You got to take your time to find the right one. Same thing as a therapist, same thing as a doctor. But like when you find the trainer for you, like you're not wasting your money by getting better.
Well, and then you spoke to one thing that's not necessarily sexy, it's not appealing, but is absolutely necessary. That's why when you were talking about like what is in shape, I stated stability before strengthening. And
Mm-hmm.
what you had to fix in your shoulder, especially because you're hypermobile, is the stability, keeping
Mm-hmm.
that joint absolutely in place when you do your movements, and that's when you're able to do it without pain. Is when that joint is stable. And so again, dude, even just for you to be able to have the knowledge, right, to be able to go back and do that,
Yeah.
super crazy impressive, dude.
I mean, I am a knowledge junkie. I'm not going to lie to you. I like knowing things, whether or not they actually apply to me in the current present or not. And so that's one of my that's one of the things I just like to know things. But I I want to ask you. I think maybe I've thought about this for a while now. Why is it? What do you think your purpose is right now in life? Like, why do you do what you do?
I think what I'll tell you, and I'll give you the real. Um, what I'll tell you is that again, like I said from the beginning, man. I believe that we're powerful beyond measure. I truly do, and we from a purpose standpoint, like my faith, we're called to serve and help people in need, right? Like, and if this is the way that I know some things you can work a job and you don't know if you're doing good.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know, man. What is this equating to? Is this going to be something that's good and good in nature? Like the work I get to do with people, there's no doubt, question, like in my mind, I know that it's good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's so that the purpose part comes from the faith, and the desire to help people become a better version of themselves. I think the real when I sit down with myself and I ask this question is, when JB was little, I was born and raised in Oak Cliff. I was the youngest of four boys. Mom had a ninth grade education. Had her first kids when she was 15. Didn't know her mom. My dad, he had nine kids and had his own situation as a whole, right? Um, I grew up in that situation, and I didn't necessarily have someone to look up to that didn't necessarily either play sports or rap or anything like that, but was a positive person that helped people, that lived a life that I would consider somewhat honorable. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have that role model or somebody that I looked up to in that regard, and so I think a lot of my movement today is just trying to be what I didn't have when I was little. Is I want to I want to I don't I want to be remembered for loving, serving, helping people overcome challenges in life. And so um, yeah, yeah, I think a lot of it ultimately comes down from the selfish desire that I wish I had these things. I wish I had this person to emulate. I wish I had this, and now that I have the opportunity to be that for someone else, to
Mm-hmm.
try to be that. I think ultimately what it comes down to. But
Yep.
yeah, man, I have a huge heart, and I just like again, it feels good to me, and it gives me energy when I go teach a class. As much as I'm helping those people, they feed me. It gives me life. It gives me energy,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like that's why you see this tree behind me. It's a give grow. As I grow, I'm able to give, and the other thing about a tree is that you see the tone differences. You know, just as much as you grow up, your tree as it grows up towards the sun, it has to go deeper in its roots. And it has to go
Mm-hmm.
deeper and deeper and deeper. And I try to my best to try to emulate that that feature or that piece in life.
Mm. Are you do you feel like you are your own role model now?
let me say this: there's plenty of people I still look towards, and I say, hey man, I'm not there. I'm not there. I'm not where you're at, right? And I love what you're doing, and I love where you're at, and I want to be there. So I want to make sure I humbly say that. Absolutely, I'm not where I want to be, and there's plenty of people who I look towards for inspiration. And I aspire to be absolutely. I aspire to
Mhm.
be like, but I wouldn't want to be anybody else but myself right now. If I'm allowed to say it, my birthday is this Thursday, and man, I feel myself getting teary eyed. I'm proud of me, man. I'm proud of me.
I love that. Happy early birthday.
Thanks, brother.
At the time of at the time of us talking, um, I appreciate this conversation, getting to sit down with you and really talk. Um, I appreciate you
Hey, I can't believe I did that on straight,
sharing.
bro.
um, I do have two more smaller questions to ask you.
Shoot him, brother. I'm here.
First things first is where can people find you if they want to keep up with what you're doing?
So people can find me on Instagram at Jonathan underscore Bange. Facebook, my name, Jonathan Bange. You can find my business in Flex, FLEX Fitness. Join Flex Fitness is the website, and Join Flex Fitness is the Instagram as well as the Facebook handle. And then if you like to see me in a different capacity as far as me doing more athletic things, then you can also pay attention to this next season of American Ninja Warrior, or go watch season 10, 11, 15, 17, any of those seasons, and you'll be able to see some of my work.
Yeah, I love that you're back in the seasons because I know there was a time when like you weren't, and I was like, why? In my head, I was like, JB's so fucking electric. Why isn't he? Why aren't they like accepting him? But I do love that you're back. You're back in there. You're competing in there, and they fucking allowed you in. But I love that. I love that. I love that so much. The last thing, something I ask everybody who comes on the podcast, an intentionally vague question, but for somebody listening today, what is one piece of advice you'd want to give to them?
A piece of advice I would give to anyone is one, love is always the answer. Um, two, the best thing that you can ever do is to invest and bet on yourself. Um, a lot of life, a lot of people, and just life in general will, as you grow, try to limit or try to put boxes around you, or what you should do, or what you can do, or what you can be. Um, Always invest in yourself. Continue to invest in yourself every single day, every single opportunity you can, and every single piece, every drop in the bucket adds up. And if you continue to do that, then what you'll be able to do in life be limitless. I'm literally speaking to you as a kid that came from Oak Cliff, youngest of four boys, absolutely poor, had asthma, couldn't go outside, couldn't do any sports or anything athletic. Um, Third grade, grace of God, I started being able to run a little bit. Fourth grade, I made basketball team. Fifth grade, I was out because of asthma. Sixth grade, I went back. I played sports. I got good grades all the way into, and then went and got my bachelor's. I went and got my master's. When I was little, I said I wanted to be a professional athlete. I found my way onto a show where I'm a professional athlete. I wanted to give back to my university. I went back and I worked and managed universities. And now I get to spend my days helping people, training people, and living every single day with what I feel is my purpose. I'm not rich. I'm not where I'm going to be, but I feel absolutely full and rich inside of my heart, as well as with the things that I've been able, the bonds I've been able to create with the people I've been able to serve and do life with. So, yeah, invest in yourself and choose love always.
That's beautiful, man. JB, thank you once again for joining me today. I appreciate you.
Thank you, brother. Till next time.